Toronto's shelter system is overburdened. City politicians know it. People like James here live it.
Very stressful, very stressful.
To keep his cot at this winter respite site requires dedication.
You have to be in on around 7:15 after supper to sign in for a bed. There's 30 beds.
Otherwise, he runs the risk of being out in the cold again.
Yeah, we had a couple nights outside. Yeah, park, Massey down the hall, Massey Hall down under the concrete.
City officials say Toronto's 62 shelters are at 94% capacity, but now communication breakdowns between those looking for shelter and those helping find it for them have raised serious questions. This is activist Doug Johnson. Yesterday, he called the central intake to ask if there were beds available at the city's newest emergency shelter.
They're filled up at the Better Living Center?
Yeah.
There's no place for me to go tonight except for down to Peter Street to sleep in the lobby there?
At the moment, yes.
We walked down there, and the Better Living Center said they could take people.
The experience was enough for Johnson to accuse the city of penny pinching, saying that the city pays third-party run shelters a per diem for the beds that are filled, not the ones that sit empty.
They don't release a bed, then they don't have to pay for it.
There's no intentional gaming of the system there.
The city's general manager of shelter support shot down that idea. He says if people need space, they'll get it.
It's very dynamic, so those beds fill and become empty regularly through the 24-hour period.
The city's ombudsman and Raftis are vowing to figure out what went wrong in these frigid few days, and councillors want answers too.
On that issue, the communication piece, I think the activists have a good point. There is a lot at stake here, and this is why the emotions are so high now.
Emotions are high. The stakes of being turned away are even higher. Ask James.
And they'll leave you in there for a half hour or whatever to warm up, and then they'll give you a token and try to send you somewhere to get a bed, right? But yeah, it's really hard, really hard.
Alicia Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
We want to tell you a bit more now about how volunteers ended up shining a big, bright spotlight on the shelter problems in Toronto, simply because they wanted to help their neighbors stay warm.
I was on Twitter at about 11:30 on the 30th of December. Saw that one of the intake centers had posted that they had nowhere to give people to go, and reached out to my network and said, listen, I'll pay for a hotel room. If others can contribute, we might be able to cover some people for the night. And over the past couple of days, over 100 and I think we're at 136 pledges now have come in of rooms. And we've gotten 18 people into rooms over the past couple of days, and it's been amazing to see what's happened.
One of those people in Jennifer Evans' network put her in touch with a local restaurant owner who remembered the many people who helped get him on his feet when he came to Canada from Lebanon 18 years ago. Mohammed Faki paid for the bulk of those first hotel rooms. The two strangers found they shared a similar sense of gratitude.
I'm warm. I have food. I have the ability to know that I'm going to wake up in the morning with a roof over my head. And there are dozens of people who not only don't have that, don't know if they're going to be able to stay inside tonight. And that's just inexcusable.
Now, the group says they're not sure how long the hotels will be needed, but they say they'll check in every day. Now, one silver lining here is that the number of Canadians using emergency shelters has been declining over the years. Almost 20,000 fewer people are using them in 2014 compared to a decade earlier. But there's still an incredible strain on the system. On average, emergency shelters in Canada operate at more than 90% capacity.